Hey y'all, today we are making a switch, and I've made a switch before out of cardboard, out of an old CD plastic case, but today we're going to make a more durable one. Somebody, I believe, who's from my alma mater, reached out and said she was having trouble with this, so I gave it a shot. These are answer buzzers. They're from Target. I know Dollar Tree sometimes has them. They do not light up. They do not record. They're just simple. I got the 4 for $12, so you can make the switch for $3.69 total. Some other things that you will need: wire stripper, scissors. You will need a screwdriver, hot glue gun, zip tie, and stereo extension cable. Now, if you have switch adapted a toy before, you have the end that you need. So you use the port for the toy and the jack for the switch. So definitely don't throw those stereo extension cables away. All right, so when you flip over the switch, you have 4 of these little rubber bumpers. You want to take those off because those are where the screws are at. So I'm going to show you one. I just kind of pry it off and then I save it because you will need it. Those are kind of like your little anti-slip. Just put it over here. You do not need batteries for this because we are not using the buzzer. We are just using the casing for 2 wires to activate. The battery source comes from your switch adapted toy. All right, so when you take this off, it is going to come in 3 pieces. You have the ring, the top of the switch, and the bottom. Today we're going to be using the top and the bottom. The ring, I do want to say I did something before to it. I went ahead and did drill a hole so I could feed the wiring through without it sticking out of the top or the bottom. I used a 3/16 drill bit for that. If you don't have a drill, sometimes I take things to school and I have my custodian help me, so that's just an idea. So I'm going to go ahead and take my stereo extension cable. At this point, it would be a really good idea to check to make sure your hot glue gun is plugged in. I only say that because I make that mistake a lot. And I'm going to take my strippers, wire stripper, and I'm going to strip about 1 inch. Twist up and pull. When I am finished with this, I'm going to see 3 wires. I have a yellow, a white, and a red. I always use the white and the red, so please cut out the yellow. You can use your scissors. And I did that. So now I have 2 left. I need to get the outer casing off of this copper. And this is how I do it. I usually take my thumbnail if I have a good one, and I just strip it like it's ribbon you're using for a birthday. And then the other side. So you will need 1 longer side and 1 shorter side. So those are about pretty darn even. So I'm just going to show you on the red side. So you need basically more copper on one side and a little less on the other. And I will show you why in a moment. All right, so this is what we're going to do now. We're going to take our stereo extension cable and we're going to thread it through the hole that we created in the ring. Later on, we will use a zip tie. I don't think I mentioned that, to secure it so it doesn't pull out, but we're not going to do that yet. All right, so I'm going to start with the top of my switch. When you flip it over, I am going to take a little bit of the length off because when I put the switch back together, if my wiring here and wiring here, the 2 copper wires, are sitting on top of each other, they're just going to activate the entire time. So I need to create a little bit more distance between them, and that's going to be by taking off a little bit of the length at the top. So there's just almost like a little scissors part on your wire stripper. So I just took a little bit off. Okay. Now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna talk about it before I do it. We're gonna take my hot glue gun and I'm gonna use a little bit of hot glue around the top circle. It almost looks like a donut, okay? Then I'm gonna take my wire, the longer side, and wrap it around the donut. And I'll talk about why this is important in a little bit. I don't know if I said this, but this did take me a couple hours to perfect. I don't wanna say perfect, make it consistent. So with hot glue, you have to act fast. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of prep everything. I have my hot glue gun. Here I go. And I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping my wire around. Again, I'm kind of making it look like a donut. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just, you need that wiring all over. Okay, I think I got it. Yep. Okay, here's why I did it this way. Because when we put this other copper wire on the bottom down here, if it just were one straight copper wire at the top, one straight copper wire at the bottom, I would need these two wires to line up exactly to activate. But by creating more of a circle or a spiral up here, it's giving me a little bit more, I guess maybe more circumference or more length for it to activate and come in contact with the other one. And that's why we did it. I'm just gonna kind of secure this a little bit and press down. Great. Okay, now I can give myself a little bit more length, and I'm going to take the other side of the copper wire. There is a part on here that clicks. I'm just going to draw a very thin line. I keep losing my... I'm going to draw a very thin line, act fast, and just put my copper wiring over top of that. Press down. All right, so we're basically finished with our switch. Now we have to put everything back together. So this is kind of a tricky part too. You want to make sure when you put your top of the switch in, you hear it click, because it's going to fit pretty nicely, but it really needs to sink down and fit. And yep, you just heard that kind of click. The way you put the top back on is there is a divot on the bottom, and then there's a raised part on the sides. You have to line those up. And it looks like I found it. There we go. There we go. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and just put 2 screws back in to test it before I put all 4. Make sure when you put the screws back in, you don't screw them in really, really tight, because then sometimes the top of the switch does not pucker or activate. Get my screwdriver. I also make sure I put back in the little rubber non-skid circles. Okay, there's one. I'm just gonna put 2 in kind of diagonally, and then plug in my switch toy. If you guys have any questions, I kind of went through this a little bit fast, but you know, with YouTube, you can stop, pause, just send me a message, or if you have success, send me a message. I'd love to see what you do. If you need the stereo extension cable, you can find the link in my Insta bio. It is 69 cents. And again, you can use it for switch adapting a toy as well as creating your own switch. This is by all means not, you know, a permanent solution, but if you are waiting for a buddy button or jelly bean twist, it is a fairly consistent, more durable option. All right, I'm gonna plug in my switch toy. I have a little Shopkins toy here. And it works. All right, so that is how you create your own switch. One step I did skip. I'm gonna go ahead and undo my switch and unscrew it, and go ahead and secure my stereo extension cable inside with this zip tie. That way, if it does get pulled, it doesn't pull the copper away from the hot glue. So I hope you guys have success with this, and let me know what questions you have. AAC for all on Instagram.